safe. This one is issued for the southern edge of this line of storms that we've been tracking all evening. And you can see the red box here. It's near Pointe a la Hache, and there is a tornado warning. There is rotation indicated by radar. This has not been confirmed as a tornado just yet, but there could possibly be, well, there is rotation and could be a potential tornado in the southeastern St. Bernard Parish areas to northwestern Plaquemines Parish. So this is at Pointe a la Hache. It's moving slowly at 10 miles, it's moving rather quickly actually at 55 miles per hour, but it's about 10 miles to the northwest of Port Sulphur. Let me bring my computer over here so I can track it for you. And with these fast moving cells, the whole line has not been moving extremely fast, but pretty quick at about 35 miles per hour. That's why the rain was just in and out for New Orleans. But now we're watching these individual cells that have been moving even faster off to the northwest within the line of storms. And actually, there have been a little bit of some issues at the National Weather Service with radar going down and some backup coming in from Lake Charles support there. So we're looking at, if you see the image a little bit different from usual, that could be related to that. Tracking, by the way, from Pointe a la Hache out to the northeast as it's moving at about 55 miles per hour. That does make it around Lake Judge Perez by about 7:28, and then on toward Hopedale potentially about 8 p.m. This particular warning does go until 8 p.m. So this could be a while if they do keep it up until that point. And as we know, in this general area, there's a lot of water. So this could be a situation where you have a water spout or funnel cloud or something of that nature. And then when it crosses over land, it becomes a tornado, as the definition says, and then back over water, back to a water spout. Looking at our rotation right now, and I have it pulled up where we had our last tornado warnings way on the other side of our viewing area. Now we can see embedded in this kind of color scheme here, this is potentially about where the colors are kind of mixing here and where the rotation is. So we're tracking this cell off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. Let me kind of get the look here, and you can see it may not cross into many extremely populated areas. In fact, our area or our little tool here not really coming up with much, but again, near Hopedale sometime toward about 8 p.m. So we do see often these little areas of spin develop, sometimes over the waters. This is somewhat common with the system, but with this particular line of storms, it wasn't quite as filled in and as strong to the south, but now we've really seen it tap into some energy on the other southern side of the system, whereas before it was the northern end that was extremely active. But now we have a lot of pretty heavy rain over, thankfully, spots that are a bit more situated on water or near the water. So some of this is coming down just over water as opposed to over really populated cities and towns and things like that. But obviously, we have lots of people under the heavy rain at this point, too. There is a good bit of lightning, and the yellow box here, this kind of jagged box, indicates a severe thunderstorm warning. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings farther off to the north of us into Mississippi and Alabama. And we have seen some tornado warnings for those spots as well, especially around the state line, Mississippi into Alabama. As we look at our line, it has moved, and let's see if our radar is showing that movement. Here it is over the last several minutes. Let me kind of tinker with our timeline here, because it may jump a bit because of that issue with the radar I was talking about. But yeah, so this was our 7 p.m. Scheme, and now we're going to go forward to where we are, forward to where we are now. And you can see that line moving through from New Orleans, where it had weakened a bit, and now moving off to the east. So here it is, moving, and we are expecting it to continue moving. And I've been saying all evening about 9 p.m. this whole line is out of here as it's been moving fast. But we are still dealing with this one final, I think, probably tornado warning. So those of you around Hopedale, that's one of the only really kind of populated particular spots that have popped up within the actual warning area, but you may have some people who who are traveling through this area or over here. This this is, let's see, the southeastern corner of St. Bernard and the northwestern part of Plaquemines Parish. There's a lot of heavy rain with this as well. Our rainfall rates here, let me sample them, are wow, up to 10 inches per hour. This part is saying 5 inches per hour in another location. And what about farther north? Not quite as much in that spot near Delacroix, about 3 to 4 inches per hour. That's still very heavy rain, but just not quite as heavy as that one spot in that slightly more southern part of Plaquemines Parish, a little bit downriver. So we do have our tornado warning going until 8 p.m. So that's a while. So we're going to stay with you and ride it out as we do with tornado warnings. And we will try to keep you updated on what's happening. And here we go, show you what our latest information is as we get these updates. You know, of course, our radar updating minute by minute, and looking like that spot is a little bit pretty defined here, and we are tracking it out to the northeast. So it's not far from the Mississippi River, that bright color there. And then as we see this continue to move to the northeast, it's going to pass over some water and then possibly a little bit more land, and again will be very close to Hopedale. It looks like at least the warning box here is pretty close to Hopedale, just below Delacroix. So really there's not all that much land associated with this before it just gets way out into the marshes and then eventually into the Mississippi Sound. But we are looking at that tornado warning, which is still ongoing. So the big red box stretching right across this part of our viewing area, the final bit of Louisiana to get this system. And we will be tracking that as it continues to the east. I've been mentioning the whole line moving at 35 miles per hour, individual cells, and in fact, these little portions of the line that are spinning and causing that rotation, those are moving faster. Before the line got to us, some cells along the line were just rushing up it at about 70 miles per hour. Now they're moving at about 55 miles per hour. But as the entire line moves to the east, that progression is, of course, a little slower at about 35 miles per hour. Tracking with our model here, we have, let's see, let me pull up the one that has been doing a pretty good job of syncing with what we're actually seeing. It had a bit of weakening. Let me move it up in time here. Around 7:30 p.m. Is that about what we're seeing? Yeah, it's still doing pretty well with the rain now just having exited our North Shore Louisiana spots and now into our Mississippi zones, and then the southern part of the line continuing for just this final little bit of southeast Louisiana. So let's see what our model has for us moving ahead to 8 p.m. It already has it jumping over here into the Mississippi coast, more toward, well, Harrison and on toward Jackson County almost. And then for our Louisiana spots, maybe just a little bit still wrapping up along that part of Plaquemines Parish. We'll fast forward to 8:30. And then 9, and here we are with the rain almost completely out. And then this will take us to 10. And the rain, I think at that point, will be actually every single drop just about off to the east of us, even these corners of Plaquemines Parish and even our Mississippi coast, maybe even the entire Mississippi coast by that point. We've been talking about this big system, and very impressive to see it stretching with its low pressure in the upper atmosphere way off to the north. So just to give you the big picture look really quickly, we have that tornado warning, which is the reason that we're still talking here until it expires. We do that, but we are looking at the big picture just to give you a sense of the setup with this rain extending way up into almost the Great Lakes, swirling around that Midwest low. And then here we are on the southern edge of this, and we've seen the system really gain strength as it moved along our part of Louisiana and has plenty of potential still as it moves to the east to have some more severe weather. Thankfully, though, we didn't actually have a whole lot of severe weather. We were upgraded to that level 3 out of 5 for the risk categories. We were at level 2. Then part of our area was level 3, and now, as of today, our whole area at level 3. We have had a few scattered tornado warnings around St. James, Assumption parishes, St. John, but now, as of tonight, there was kind of a big blank spot across a big chunk of the North Shore and South Shore that didn't have any active warnings, and now we have our tornado warning. Again, I think this will be the final one, although we've been looking up and down and checking for that rotation, and it sounds like at this point the National National Weather Service still has enough rotation to kind of keep this warning going at this point. There's also a lot of lightning with this cell and just off to the south of this cell. So let me sample that with our tool here. 105 strikes over the past 10 or so minutes. So certainly a lot of lightning as well as the heavy rain. Let's take a look at velocity again and get a sense of whether this is weakening or strengthening, and it appears to be weakening a bit, I would say, right here, but still rotation showing up. This is south of Delacroix and Hopedale, not far from, of course, Shell Beach, south of Poydras and places like that. And we are expecting it to continue moving out to the east-northeast. So that's been the movement here. And sometimes this far from the radar site, which is now in Hammond, sometimes we've noticed around the marshes on the southern side of Louisiana, it's a little bit more difficult to detect sometimes with the velocity products and things, rotation that would indicate a tornado. But this is an active cell, part of this big line. We have these colors. When you see the colors, they're kind of showing the wind direction. And so that's why they're so clearly different colors. Going toward that radar site are the blues to greens, and away are the reds and yellows. So when you see those kind of wrapping together, that's where that rotation is, with the winds going toward and then away. So that's why we look at that tool and use it to help us kind of figure out where that rotation is. So it does look like that's the most active spot. Let's check out really quickly what's going on aside from the velocity, just with the rain in this part of Louisiana, and this is Plaquemines Parish and a little chunk of St. Bernard. And this is what we have. We have our rain rates that have been, I saw that one spot, if you were here earlier with us, of 10 inches per hour. This is showing almost 6 inches per hour, 4 inches per hour, and 6 inches per hour. So this is some pretty heavy rain embedded in this long line of thunderstorms that formed up to our west. We saw it forming earlier today. We knew it would be moving in the evening, and man, it moved through fast in New Orleans. It was in and out just within a few minutes, it seemed like, and now it's off to the east of the city. Back in New Orleans, if you are kind of settling down after a Mardi Gras, an early Mardi Gras for some folks, I think, we do have just some light rain here. A little light rain over the causeway, although the causeway did close earlier because of really heavy rain and some wind as the line was moving through, but things have really improved now. So New Orleans drying out. I was talking about earlier that Bourbon Street camera packed full of people until the moment the line hit. Everyone scattered, the rain came down, and then there were a lot of people out again just a few minutes later. So some people not heeding the warnings about the rain very much, but it was so fast. If they found a place to go. Also, it weakened a little bit ahead of the city, so it wasn't quite as heavy as it could have been, and it was for some of our north of the lake areas. Looking at the rain really quickly, and just again, if you're joining us, we're here for a potential, a tornado warning. Am I seeing that it may have been dropped? Let me see and check with our National Weather Service information. They keep us updated with a great chat where they can kind of give us insight into things that they're thinking or new developments that they have. And indeed, it looks like the tornado warning has been canceled. So we'll get you back to regular programming. Thanks for being with us. We'll have more coming up on the news at 10 p.m.
This has been a severe weather alert from WWL Weather, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency.